We'll take it. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started then. All right. Good morning, everybody. Matt, I'm going to double check. Is this being recorded?
I think, yep, it automatically starts recording.
Fantastic. All right, then here we go. Good morning, everyone. So just in case you don't know who I am, I'll give a quick introduction. My name is Christy. I'm the training manager here for the EMEA region. I see a lot of names that I recognize, so looks like we got some return guests on here. And of course, we are doing a prize drawing at the end of this entire webinar series. So if you've been here for all the webinars so far, you are in the draw to win the prize, which we'll talk about towards the end. I've got a slide I'll show you on that. Today, what we're going to be talking about is winter sun, right? Because everyone likes to make sure we're still getting out and enjoying those amazing temperatures in the winter months, in our winter months. We're going to be talking about a few different regions today and looking at getting away for holidays, getting away for vacation. So I'm going to start out by just kind of giving a very brief overview of the regions that we go to, and then we'll dig into a couple more of those. To do that, I've got a video. So if you know me, if you've been in one of my presentations, you do know I love my videos. I've tossed a few in for today as well. So we'll start out with this video giving an overview of our travels. Here we go.
Let me show you something.
Let me show you something, everything that you wanted. Yeah, I got another shot on the rocks. Yeah, I'm turning up. Let me show you something. Roll, 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 roll. Beat on the drum. Let me tell you what. Yeah, let me show you something. Yeah, let me show you something.
Let me show you something.
All right. Now, I know you guys have already had an amazing session on the Caribbean, so we're not going to dig into the Caribbean very much today. But what I am going to remind you of is that we do have cruises going out of the Northeast. Now, this is a little bit different. This is the Northeast of the U.S., so they are going from the New York area for most of those options, Cape Liberty, New Jersey, although we also do Baltimore. But I just want to remind you that we do have some different ships. Now, what we're looking at here is our 26-27 season, so April of 26 through March of 27, which is about as far out as we have any sailings right now. We tend to go April or May till about April or May of the next year. You can see that we'll have Odyssey, which we know and love here in the European region. Odyssey will be doing some beautiful 7-night perfect day Bahamas itineraries next year. So November of 2026 all the way into March of 2027. Of course, we are cruising out of the New York area throughout the year, but that is what we've got set up for next winter, our next winter, a year and a half from now. And of course, we've got options this year as well. So we do cruise year round from Cape Liberty, New Jersey. Now, that does give your customers a great chance to get in and see New York before they cruise out. So you would fly into New York, Newark, or JFK, one of those options, and then take a quick transfer down to the port in New Jersey, so out of Cape Liberty or Bayonne, New Jersey. I find that New York or New Jersey is one of the most confusing ones because there's like 10 different names for it. So you're flying into New York, you're cruising out of New Jersey. Sometimes we call it Cape Liberty, sometimes we call it Bayonne. The 3-letter code for it, the call sign for it is BYE, like goodbye, see you later. So that is a little bit tricky, but make a note of that if you're not familiar with that already. That's our region for that one. And then sometimes we do go out of Baltimore. Now that's not as much of the winter sun, but it is going over to Bermuda quite often, and we'll have one of our smaller ships because Baltimore does have infrastructure. So there's a bridge that makes it so we can only take our smaller ships into that region. But it's a great way to get out and see Bermuda if someone wants to cruise to there. Now, additionally, staying out of the U.S., we also have sailings going from California. Again, a great option to get over for those guests who want to see the world, who want to travel, who want to see more places. Going out of California is a great option. You're cruising out of Los Angeles. LAX is the code for both the airport and the seaport there. And California is a great option because, of course, Disney is not that far away, and of course, you can always make a stopover at Las Vegas, and different options like that. So there's a lot of places on the west coast of the U.S. to see. Now, because we're talking about winter sun, I won't give you all the ideas. We're talking about going south a little bit further or going to the warmer regions. So cruising out of California can be a really nice option. Now, again, for the 26 and 27 season, altogether, I'll have a total of 5 different ships spending time down there, which is absolutely amazing. For the last number of years, we've only had one ship over there. That's been Navigator of the Seas. She's been going out of Los Angeles. As a matter of fact, I did navigate her out of Los Angeles back in December of 2022. It was really nice. I will tell you that as we started cruising down, we drove from Oregon. So I am from the west coast of the US. You got Washington, Oregon, and California. We drove from Oregon. There were 7 of us. We rented a minivan because we're American, and that's what we drive over there. So we rented a minivan, stuffed all of us in there. The 2 kids had no idea what was happening. They thought they were just dropping a couple of us off at our own cruise, and then they were going to drive back. As we got down there, we drove overnight. It got warmer. When we got down there, it was nice and amazing temperatures when we got into California, because we're coming from the northern half. And then we surprised the kids with this cruise. They had no idea where we were going. My sister pulled out a bunch of shirts that she had made that said "on cruise control." It was really fun. And as we cruised down into Mexico, it just got nicer and nicer and nicer. The weather was absolutely gorgeous. Now, of course, I'm American, so I speak in Fahrenheit more often than not. And it was in the 70s and 80s, which, coming from home up in Oregon, had been in the 30s and 40s, which is like 0 to 10, all the way up to like 20s and 30s. So we had this nice transition down into that warm weather. On the flip side, on the way back, we also transitioned back up into that cooler weather. So it wasn't just an immediate get off the plane and you're suddenly back home in the cold, dreary options, which is what we would have. So we had a transition down into warm and a transition back out of the warm. But while we were down there, it was absolutely amazing. The water was gorgeous. So there are a number of different ports that we go to on a regular basis: Mazatlan, Puerto Vallarta, Cabo San Lucas, Ensenada, and then Catalina Island, which is actually part of California, surprisingly. So one stop in California, and then 4 different stops in Mexico, depending on the itinerary that you select. So lots of great choices. I can tell you all sorts of fun things to do in all of those different ports. I've enjoyed Puerto Vallarta and Mazatlan the most, but we've done beach days most of the time. When I've been down there a number of times. Again, coming from Oregon, it's a convenient cruise port. So we've done the Mexican Riviera quite a few times. And we've done beach days both of those times in Mazatlan and Puerto Vallarta, and those were some of the best beach days I've had. They're just absolutely gorgeous. The weather's amazing. Mazatlan, this last time, we actually went out snorkeling. We went down to this little beach and went snorkeling. Oh, it was so great, you guys. Like, absolutely amazing. So much fun. But there is one new option that I actually haven't done yet, which is actually a new port called La Paz. So La Paz, Mexico is a new option going out of California. And just as a note, you'll see that on the Serenade of the Seas sailings out of San Diego, because next year in 2026, we are adding a new departure port from California. So Serenade is coming in and she's cruising out of San Diego. Again, a great option to travel down and see the coastline of California and then down into Mexico. So you'll get La Paz that way. Next up, let's move to our next region, which is Asia. So Asia is a great option as well. This is a popular option for guests going from Europe. Less common out of the States. We don't travel over there as often. That doesn't mean we don't, but less of us travel that direction. So we have a number of different ships in Asia for this next year and a half, 2-year cycle. Ovation of the Seas is the current one, cruising out of Singapore in October of this year, 2025, and into March of next year. So she is doing primarily 3, 4, and 5 night itineraries. Her stops are going to be either Penang or Phuket. So she does both Penang and Phuket on most of those itineraries. But then there is an 8-night Bali adventure added in there as well, which would be absolutely gorgeous to see. Now, I will say it is quite a trek to get over to Asia. So this is one of those itineraries, if you're doing those 3, 4, and 5 night options, where you want to look at adding on some extra time, either at the beginning or the end of their itinerary. Give them that whole holiday experience and allow them to really enjoy the area, the culture. Singapore is absolutely gorgeous. It's very clean, very friendly people, and lots to see and do and experience. And of course, I'm a foodie, so I enjoy getting to try all the new foods and opportunities there. Now, I'm not super adventurous because when we went to Shanghai, there were quite a few different options that were not normal for for Western Civ, I guess we would say. You know, scorpions and chicken feet and all of that sort of thing. I must admit, I didn't try any of that. I was kind of considering it on the way down, and I chickened out. No pun intended. I couldn't do any of those sort of options. But our other option right now is Spectrum of the Seas, primarily cruising out of Shanghai, China, but also occasionally out of Hong Kong. Hong Kong tends to be that December window of time. We went down in November last year. Is that right, Matt? It was November. And it was absolutely gorgeous weather, absolutely warm and just, I mean, I'm a sun girl, so I don't know why I live in the UK now, because Oregon is the same. I just keep moving from cloudy place to cloudy place, but I do love my sun. So when we got down there, it was absolutely amazing, great weather. And of course, the different ports are going to have different options. Now, primarily, Spectrum is doing 4, 5, 7, and 8 night sailings. A lot of those 4 and 5 night sailings, that tends to be the demographic that the Asian market prefers. So we do a lot of those slightly shorter sailings than the 7-nighters. We do toss some 7 and 8-nighters in there too. But she's going to be having a number of different stops in Japan. And a little bit in South Korea. So Jeju and sometimes Tokyo and gosh, Matt, do you remember the other options that are in there? Is it there's about 4 or 5 different ports that we stop at on a regular basis on our different itineraries, so you can look at that. Again, almost the same length of flight. They're both long. I'm coming from the UK, so my flights to the 2 respective destinations, Singapore and then Shanghai, were both in the 10+ hour range. Now that will vary based on where you're coming from or where your customers are coming from. But another option where once they get over there, it's best to build that holiday package around the cruise and add on some extra stay either before and or after their sailing, so they can really experience the culture and the area. Lots of great options. Now, I do have a little video on Asia to share with you guys, kind of showing you some of the quick highlights of the Asia market. And you can see that it's absolutely gorgeous, different than the European cultures. I know we've got people from all of EMEA on this region, so on this webinar. So you'll have different experiences, of course, along the way. But it is just a different area. It's a different culture, and there's plenty of nice winter sun down in this area. Last region that we're going to talk about is Australia. So this is another one that's a long trek. Once you get there, you're gonna definitely want to take some time to enjoy Australia as well while you're down there. But we've got 2 different ships out of Australia for the 25-26 season. So this time we're looking at this year. And you're going to find a variety of itineraries all the way from 2 nights all the way up to 12-night options between the 2 different ships. So Anthem has been much loved. We've enjoyed her very much over here in the UK and the European regions. She is now in her world tour phase of her career. So she went from Europe last fall over to Asia. Right now, she's up in Alaska. She just got into Alaska a couple weeks ago, and she'll be cruising there for the season. And then for her winter season for the Northern Hemisphere, she's actually going to be heading down to Australia for for the Australian summer season. That's what I'm trying to say, because their summer is the opposite, because they are in the southern hemisphere. Some great options here. Australia is a lot of fun, a lot of great things to see. And I've got just a couple highlights on both of these ships. I've actually got videos from Australia showing you what their advertising looks like for their markets. So you can kind of see how they talk about their cruises. Here we go. Here's Anthem. No, here's Voyager. And you can see that it is definitely an Australian video, because it is talking about summer of 25 and 26, which for us would obviously be winter. So that is Voyager. Voyager, of course, being that really family-friendly option for all of the family, with the water slides, the ice skating, all of those different things. And then, like as I said, the much-loved Anthem from the European region is the other one. So here's the video on Anthem. All right, so we have Anthem as well. Their summer again, 25 and 26, so our winter season. Great options to get down and really enjoy Australia and New Zealand and the entire region. Now let's talk just a tiny bit real quick about who we're selling these to. So of course our guests span the multiple generations, right? So you've got grandparents, parents, kids, and grandkids, spanning all the way through that age range, with all of the different opportunities, bringing along a variety of people with them, depending on where they're at and what their family life is like, what that entire dynamic looks like. But the reality is we've got something for everyone. So you're going to find those adventure seekers in the 26 to 45 age range, approximately. You're looking at groups like couples, millennials, and Gen Z for this. They're going to have high affluence, so they're going to be big spenders. They're going to be happy to get out there and enjoy a lot. Family seekers are in that 36 to 55 range. They're bringing their families, and there's a lot in the Gen X region and the Gen X generation that are coming along. They're going to be that medium to high affluence range. My culture seekers are going to be those 46 plus on average. So you're going to find couples, Gen X, and baby boomers in this region. Again, high affluence. They're bringing along their friends, their family with them a lot of times. And finally, those vintage vacationers. So those are the 56 plus crowd. You'll find them as couples, but you'll also find them as solos. And a lot of times they're going to be baby boomers. So they're going to be that medium affluence range. But you can see here that we cover a broad spectrum, a very broad spectrum. And of course, anytime it's families coming along, you've got the kids all the way down into those younger ages. Another thing, and we talked about this on one of our university sessions last year, was kind of the demographics, the grouping, kind of similar to this. And one of the things that I have taken away from that personally, from preparing for that, was seeing that it's very interesting that Generation Alpha, Gen Alpha, is starting to really influence the buying trends, which is the kids, right? Those ones who are like 6, 8, 10, maybe up into 12 right now. And they're watching YouTube and watching people do different things on YouTube. I've got a lot of kids in my life, nieces and nephews, and it's always funny when I spend time with them to watch other kids go to the arcade, or watch other kids play a game, or watch other kids do other things. And one of the things that they're seeing now is holidays, and so they are actually influencing their families towards their holiday purchases. So keep that in mind too. We have a wide range of people who are seeing our stuff, a wide range of people from those young ones at 4, 6, 8, 10, all the way up into the baby boomers and the 56 plus crowd. I've asked people at different points, I'm like, what's our minimum age for cruising? And hopefully you all know that the correct answer is 6 months old, with the exception occasionally of a 12-month old, depending on the length of sailing, with sea days in a row. So 3 sea days or more. So transatlantics, transpacifics, it is 12 months plus to go on those cruises. But 6 months is our minimum age. So what's our maximum age? And the reality is we don't have a maximum age. There is no maximum age. Anyone who wants to cruise can get out there with us and enjoy an amazing holiday. So when you're talking to people, one of the things that we want you to think about is the fact that there's this land versus sea test, right? And we really comfortably pass that test of land, premium land holiday experiences versus a Royal Caribbean cruise holiday experience. So just a few highlights. You got the land holiday over here, and then you got the sea holiday. You can go to Atlantis, Dubai and do your flow rider, or you can go on a Royal Caribbean sailing and enjoy the flow rider. You can go enjoy a swim up bar at the Hard Rock in Tenerife, or you can be with Royal Caribbean and enjoy a swim up bar. We also have water slides, right? So Jumeirah, Dubai versus Royal Caribbean. You've got those family water slide options. You got a lot of different choices depending on the ship and destinations that you're going to. We've also got in Dubai, again, you got these amazing luxury stateroom suites, and we offer the same sort of amenities and opportunities on a Royal Caribbean sailing. So what we're looking for is guests who want to embark on a new kind of adventure, right? We want to find people who are looking for something a little bit off the beaten path. When I moved over here, I met someone who has been to Turkey every single year for the last 30 years, and they go to the same place and they do the same thing. But I've also met a lot of people who are getting out and exploring their area, right? They're getting out and exploring Europe, going a little farther afield. And those are the ones especially that we're looking for. But even those ones who go to Turkey and just stay for a week, even those ones who are going to whatever random place. Turkey just sounded so exotic because I didn't know anyone who had been to Turkey until I moved to the UK. So I was like, people go to Turkey? What? Because again, I'm from America and from the West Coast at that. So we don't travel very far afield on a regular basis, right? There are people who do, but in general, as a culture, you find it to be a true stereotype. So we're looking for those people who enjoy those holidays where they're just sitting on the beach, because we can do that for them too. But we're also looking for those people who want to explore a little bit more, and maybe don't want to keep moving place to place over the course of a week, or they want to see more than just one place in a week-long holiday. And of course, keep in mind that on a Royal Caribbean sailing, we're way more than a buffet. We have so many different dining options. It is unbelievable. There are so many choices for ways to eat. Additionally, we have that show-stopping entertainment that's completely included. So you've got air, ice, water, and the main stage with the West End style shows. Of course, we also do playtime to downtime. So you can do the thrill, you can do the chill. It doesn't matter how you want a holiday or how you want a vacation. We can meet your desires. We can meet what you want to do as far as that goes. And then, of course, don't forget that one ship will get you endless adventures. There are so many choices, so many different opportunities. You are never going to be bored on a Royal Caribbean sailing because of how many options there are for you. So That's what I've got for today. I don't see any questions that have come in the chat. I want to remind you of a couple of things. So first up, we've got the Royal Beach Club in Nassau that we'll be talking about next week on the 20th. So you'll be joining me again for that. We've got some new imagery, some fun stuff to share with that. It is an all-inclusive resort area. So what do you expect when you're going there? We'll touch on the other couple of products that we have in the region as well. We've got Legend of the Seas coming up. Alex will be sharing about that because Legend is coming to Europe for next year. And then I'll be talking about finding the right product for the right customer. So doing an overview of the ships and the different classes. And finally, we'll do some secret sales techniques. So what does it look like to do sales, right? What sort of tips and tricks can I give you to help you out with your sales options? There is a QR code on here that you can scan if you're not signed up, but hopefully if you're here, you've already been here for all of the previous sessions. There's only 4 more to go. So stay tuned. Keep coming in because we are doing a competition. Of course, all of our webinars are recorded, so if you do happen to have missed some of the previous ones or missed future ones, you can always go back and check them out on YouTube. The link to that is the QR code here, so I'll stay on the screen for just a moment for you so you can do that. And then, of course, one more time with the QR codes, we've got quite a few of them here for you. I will drop a link to this one in the chat as well, though, so you guys have this option. We would love to hear your feedback on what you thought of this session and previous sessions. We got lots of different options, lots of different things. So, I cannot drop a link to that in there for you, but we'll include that on one of the emails for you at some point. So. Once again, I don't see any questions that have dropped in the chat. Matt, did I miss anything anywhere else?
No, I don't think you've missed anything. All good.
Perfect. And Matt, there is a question now. How many webinars were there? I think it was a series of 8.
Yeah, I would say 7 or 8. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So if
I think altogether it's 8 or 10 total webinars.
we also did some
over the month.
Last year, and the best advice is really to go to the YouTube channel, and that's where you'll see the whole library of everything we have done up until I think up until this week. So this week's webinars still have to be published, but our YouTube channel Supreme Administrator is holidaying in Mexico, getting a bit of sun. So when he comes back next week, that'll be updated. But please, refer to the YouTube channel. It's a great library of information. So
amazing. And then don't forget that you do want to make sure that if you've been attending all the previous sessions, you want to attend the future sessions because we are giving away a few prizes. So 3 winners will receive cupcakes for their entire office. But then the grand prize winner will be receiving Matt.
I don't know.
You're not receiving Matt. Matt, do you want to share what they're going to receive?
I don't know, to be honest.
You don't know?
No, I don't know. Do you?
Well, I'll tell you.
It's a trick question.
We are doing some
Can I
ship tours
participate?
specifically on Legend of the Seas. So we're going to be giving away spots to that.
Wow.
For
Brilliant.
next year. So if you have attended all of the webinars live, you will be in the list. We're just going off of the list and making sure that everyone is in there. So if you've been in there for all of the webinars and you are on the future webinars, there is that option for winning a trip, a ship tour on Legend of the Seas. So don't miss out. Make sure if you've already been here that you continue showing up for the last couple of webinars. You don't want to miss out on that opportunity. All right, you guys, thanks so much for joining us. Until next week. Oh, rainy Prague. Now's the time for some winter sun. All right, you guys, have a great day and thanks for joining us.
Bye-bye.
Bye all.